All right, welcome everybody to our now monthly, Holistic Chamber of Commerce Get to Know Your HCC membership. And we decided to do this monthly so that we could provide more education and more opportunity for member spotlighting. Are you prepared to do that, Becky?
I am.
Okay,
I
good,
am.
because we thought we would start with Becky. You can see we tightened up at the end and tied it down. So anyhow, what we're going to do is start off with a member spotlight, about 5 minutes. And in future calls, we're not really planning them, but whoever shows up on the call, we will pick somebody and put you on the hot spot and let you talk about your business. That'll be fun. So anyhow, I just wanted to welcome everybody. If you're not here in person, we're hoping that you will be watching this, and Becky's going to be sharing with us about the benefits and opportunity of networking. So
I'm
thank you,
excited.
Becky.
Thank you. So you want me to do the
Spotlight.
presentation? Okay,
Yeah, do
good.
that first, because
Okay.
Becky, you go ahead and introduce where you're from.
All right. Well, my name is Becky Holbert. For those of you who do not know me, I live here in Bluffton, South Carolina. I'm a member of the Holistic Chamber, proud member of it. Like to be an ambassador for the Holistic Chamber. I work for a small boutique financial firm called Jaja Financial Group. I list myself as a financial strategist and educator because before you can work with people to understand where they want to be, it's always great to sit down with them and say, this is what we have. This is the education, knowing about how money moves, how money works, how it's in your life, and what corners it stretches into. And I believe that education provides knowledge, of course. And with that comes a certain sense of power and control over your own lives. I'm a big believer in breaking out of some of these systems that we have become kind of captured within, not in a bad way, but there are ways to break free of systems and still being able to reach your financial potential.
Awesome.
So,
And how can they get in touch with you?
well, they can get in touch with me. I am a big network, so I'm always around, but you can reach me either by phone 901-417-3038. Email Becky Holbert at jajafinancialgroup.com. And I love to hear from people. I'm on social media. I'm under my business, which is Better with Becky, brand Becky Holbert, and on my Instagram at Better with Becky.
Awesome. And also on our website, under our Hilton Head Bluffton location and in our member directory.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So we're going to switch now to presentation mode so that Becky can show us what she's got for us.
Well, good. Thank you, Karen. I'd like to thank everybody for checking in with us tonight, too. If you're catching this on replay, this is why we do this, so that we have guides for people. This is what the Chamber provides a good base for. I'm excited about talking about today's subject because it's something that we all do, but very few people actually use it strategically, and that's networking. When we all get together and gather and talk about ourselves and other people, it's been an interesting ride for me to understand how this is a skill that you can develop. People have natural tendencies, some people don't. And that's kind of why I wanted to have this conversation tonight for those who are in business that may not be really good at getting into large groups and developing those relationships outside of their brick and mortar shops or their own business lanes that they have now. So I kind of want to help people along with that. Most people will walk into a chamber event, I'll use us as the example, thinking, who can I sell to? Or they're going to leave with a stack of business cards and no real momentum. So, networking, when done right, it isn't about immediate business. It's about understanding the ecosystem that you're in, who serves the same audience that you serve, who complements what you do? Where do you fit? Do you see yourself as a connector, a collaborator, or a strategic partner? That shift from transaction to ecosystem is what turns networking from exhausting into powerful. So today, what I want to do tonight, I want to walk you through what I like to call the ecosystem growth strategy and how to use it intentionally in chamber settings to drive real business growth.
When do you want to switch?
We're okay right now.
Okay.
So what we're doing here, we're calling this Beyond the Business Card. This is the relationship strategy session. And like I said, we're talking about the ecosystem growth strategy. And you'll notice I have a little bit of a Venn diagram at the bottom that I'm going to use. You'll see it throughout. But this is when we kind of take the, let's put my glasses on so I can see this. Excuse me for a second. This is where we take, your shared audience. You have your complementary services, maybe, and your intentional collaborations. And when we have those things intersect, we come upon what I like to call your ecosystem growth. So this is where we change. We go to the next one. So I find that in my world as a financial educator, I've learned that no one makes long-term decisions without trust, whether it's money or businesses, relationships come first. And this is why I say that it's not a transaction. This is something that aligns with what you believe. And you're looking for people that have that same alignment. Maybe they're looking at the same group of people that we're all targeting for business. What I find is that, like I say here, most people leave events with business cards and very few leave with momentum. And that's what we want to get people into. That's why I call this the reframe. Stop thinking about networking as a transaction, and we want to move it into creating momentum for your business. So when we're looking at why I call this ecosystem, it's the definition of an ecosystem is a group of businesses serving overlapping audiences in complementary ways. And what I find is that growth will happen for a business owner when you serve similar people and you solve different problems, but you're intentionally building this together. So when I talk about overlapping audiences, these are people that maybe use some of your services, or they're working with someone who connects with your business. So that's what we talk about when we look at overlapping. Complementary services are, now for a good example, the complementary service that I offer is that all of my talks, my conversations, my appointments, they are all complimentary. So maybe you come across somebody that offers a free 30-minute session or things like that. But we're looking for ways to really connect and grow together. So this is where we come into identifying the 3 growth roles. And I've broken this down into connector, collaborator, and strategic partner. And here's where you subtly model your world. So an example of this would be a wellness coach connects a client to a financial educator, when you're working with that. Maybe a CPA collaborates with me on tax efficient strategy. And then maybe a long-term referral partner serves similar audiences. So that's why I've got the definitions up here. And understanding, because you want to make sure that you're identifying what role you play. And then you're looking for your other 2 relationships here. And it works well when you have that connector. Now, connectors, like I say here, they introduce individuals and they add value by facilitating meaningful relationships that enhance collaborative opportunities for all involved. And then the second one is, of course, our collaborator, and these co-create solutions and cross-promote services. And you're strengthening ties within the ecosystem and fostering mutual growth among partners. And then, of course, you have somebody that operates as a strategic partner. Now, this is somebody that's going to align their long-term goals to achieve that shared growth, creating those sustainable business practices that benefit the entire ecosystem. And the reason why I keep referring to this ecosystem relationship is because I think networking is it's becoming almost an old term. And when people hear networking, I'll see the introverts will right away freeze up, kind of look in and say, oh man, you got to put me in a room full of people and I don't know what to do. Well, this is where the skill set comes in. You can be moving through that scared phase, that fear, but when we're growing businesses, we have to make ourselves comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I always try and tell people that when you're approaching something new, just jump right in. And it helps that when you look at it, you can see yourself in one of these roles because now you're kind of identifying and you're putting yourself into, a suit, if you will. You can go into the event where maybe you would be nervous and scared, but this is about reaching out, introducing yourself, and getting to know people. You're building that relationship. I tend to be a connector when I go to events. So I love to meet with the collaborators and the strategic partners because notice now you're not necessarily worried about what other people do or how you can sell to somebody. You are going into this room to find your support system. And because when you have that support in building businesses, it's really it's a defining moment, I think, because suddenly you can connect with somebody or find somebody to collaborate with or that strategic partner that is going to give you the support in maybe a way that you yourself had not yet found or just don't feel that it's part of who you are. So finding those connections can really strengthen what you're doing and it creates a safe place for you, if you will. So it kind of takes that angst of networking out. So that's why I go with this. So the next thing that I love working about, this is something that I've learned coming into my industry, is you're looking for your tip of the spear. So what I mean when we talk about that is that there are many different ways that people will go out to find their business, to find the people that they can be working with. And networking is just one of those avenues. So this is why I say when you take that, when you decide on what the tip of your spear is, and networking is one of those things for me, this is where you start asking yourself some questions. Is your business relationship driven? I find that most holistic businesses, that's exactly where we're at. So this is important too. Does trust impact buying decisions? Okay. Do referrals drive what you do in your industry? And if you come up with a yes, then networking is a foundational exercise. This is a good tip of your spear. If it's no to any of these questions, then you can be using networking and this ecosystem growth to use it for visibility and not expectation. Because you have to realize when we get into a room of people, you're developing relationships because it's not so much the people that you're standing right there in front of. You're looking to connect with their networks to see how you can be a resource to them. But when you're working in that ecosystem growth with those collaborators and creators and so forth, this is where the relationship that you have is going to be your best friend because people are going to do business with people that they trust, know, and like. And it takes the pressure off of people who are attending these networking where we know we're going from business to business, but we're really interested in learning about their business. The example that I like to use, again, it's with my business, but I can walk into any networking event and I feel comfortable approaching anyone, not necessarily picking out a business, because I want to get to know them and what they do. So when you go into networking with that attitude, you're just trying to find out what other people do. And when the question comes back to you on what do you do, then you give that little couple seconds spiel on what you do. And then the next line is always, how can I be a resource? How can I help you to grow your business? When you give that space, when you come into a networking situation to build relationships and be absolutely interested in what others are doing, you're forming a strong bond and foundation for growth. So the next one is this is working the room. So I love this because, man, I will never go to a function, and I'm sure a couple of people watching this who've been to network events with me will be able to attest to this. My mission when I go into these networking events is sometimes I will have a specific list because maybe there's a connection I'm looking to make to find a specific name to a business that I'm trying to get into. Other times I'm going to an event and I want to talk to as many people as I can. So there are strategies to it. And just one of them I want to do because not everybody is much of an extrovert as I am. So the before on this is before you go to the event, you want to identify a couple of aligned businesses that complement your goals, enabling focused network and a strategic approach to relationship building. So again, using myself as the example, I work really well with CPAs, bookkeepers. I actually work really well with other financial advisors. And so those are the key people, trust estate attorneys. So those are the people that I'll gravitate towards because I've set that up as this is what I'm expecting to accomplish. So during the event, you're looking to engage with attendees by asking who they serve best and what introductions would be most beneficial for strengthening those connections. So maybe there isn't a CPA at the event that I'm going to, but I'm talking to other business owners who use CPAs. So that's why I say there's always that small pivot because when you can't identify what you're strategically looking for, always remember the backup in your head is, well, I'm still talking to business owners because I'm finding out who they work with. So the after on this is the big deal. And I always say this, the strength of networking is not in the actual networking. It's not in this ecosystem. That strength comes in the follow-up. And when you talk to business owners, I'll ask this question to anybody on here who has a business. When you meet somebody and you're interested and you don't hear from them, how does that make you feel? So it's important to remember that if you're going to go and engage, that the follow-up is everything. So that follow-up should happen within 48 hours to reinforce the relationships that you've already started. And you're looking to seek that alignment. You want to set up a get together, set up that one-on-one. Again, those one-on-ones are powerful because that's the meeting where you can determine which way is this going to go? Is this going to go into a business arrangement? Is this a collaboration? Or is this a strategic partner that you can work to build the referral system? And quite honestly, I'm excited to hear Barry's talk on referrals because this segues beautifully into it. So while you're seeking that alignment, of course, you're emphasizing your collaboration over simple transaction. So this is a little thing that I just wanted to stick in here before, as we're starting to close this up. Stop asking who can buy from me and start asking how we grow together. Again, it goes to that collaborative, we're building communities every day. When you're out there with your kids, with your pets, you're out there in the dating world, whatever your situation is, we're always looking not to how do we use but how do we give? And this is how we grow together. I think that we all start to lose sight of the fact that small businesses are active in so many small communities, towns. We are not in the big cities, but small business owners are integral to the economic growth of any neighborhood, town, city that you live in. And I just don't know how we can ask ourselves to go out and do business without saying, how do we help someone else? And that's what I appreciate so much about the holistic community, because there's very much that, very much rooted in community first, in service. And I think that comes from a very real place in the heart and the soul. So if we are putting out that we want to help, that we want to be the resource, that's naturally going to return back to you. It's that old adage that you get what you give. And I think a lot of the BNIs and things like that are always talking about the givers get. Well, this is the biggest givers get you can ever do, and you don't need BNI to do it. So
Excellent.
this is why I love the chambers.
Excellent.
So-
Thank you. I couldn't agree more. Obviously, I tried to get out of her frame shot earlier.
No, it's okay.
But that's why I'm always saying, like, we're really about relationships first. And when I say that, I guess I'm assuming people understand. You kind of put it in a much better way, because it's not just like, I want a relationship with you. It's, I want a relationship that can help you to grow, that can help lift you up. And in return, that's going to come back. It's in that giving that we receive, right? So yeah, it's really foundational to my belief about what networking is about. So I thank you, Becky, for that.
Absolutely. It's a skill, and it's something I believe when I first started going to networking events, I thought it was all about just getting in a room and seeing who I could work with. But it was more about doing business. Who can I do business with? Because we're all trying to get the people to recognize our product, our business, our situation. And we're all there for the same purpose. But how we're going about it, it's a skill, and it can be developed. And what kind of cracks my heart in two sometimes is when I hear a business owner say, yeah, I'm just not that personality. I'm not that go-getter. Well, then hook yourself up. Look for the extrovert in the room.
Right.
Come see me.
Right.
Because that's what true partnership and collaboration is about. It's not always about the business, but what grows from the connection.
Right. And when you're at a networking event, and I'm thinking of bigger networking groups, and you feel like, gosh, there's so many people here, I'm intimidated, I can't meet all these people. Or you sometimes find them in little cliques and they're not really inviting you into it. But my point is that you find one or two people. If that's all you connect with, then it's a success, in my opinion.
It is.
And that follow-up is, I mean, we all know the adage, the fortune's in the follow-up, but it truly does matter. I know when I have got my business cards from the people I've spoken with, I come home and I immediately send an email. It was so nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. I'd love to do lunch or, whatever, coffee, whatever it is with you. If we could get together, I'd love to meet you and get to know more about you. And almost always everybody says yes. It's just a matter of finding time. So,
yep.
But yeah, it's really important. And thank you. Those were all great points that you made.
Absolutely.
Barry, do you want to unmute and contribute anything?
This has been very, very good, Becky. And it's opened my mind to a couple things. I mean, so many people go to networking meetings to sell. And how many people go to network meetings to buy? Very, very few probably. And so, you talking about going with a collaborative attitude. what
Mhm.
triggered the thought is, I like to meet people and find out what they do and how I can help them. I'm a little seasoned with networking, and I get that. But the thought you triggered tonight with me is I know a ton of people that I like to provide referrals to. And to go to a network meeting with, two or four or, several of them at the top of mind with who might I meet at this networking event that can help, that I can refer Jim to
Right.
help his, or
Yep.
so it put a new twist on it for me. So that's good. And I have a tendency to, meet a couple, meet a person and end up spending the whole time talking with them instead of using the event as a way to meet people, just so to have more people to follow up with.
Right.
And one of my mentors, his name is Patrick Carney, uh, fairly well-known artist, and I met him when I was in San Diego, and he was hired by LATIP, which is a BNI type organization,
Mhm.
exclusive referral group, to go to San Diego and start a LATIP organization.
Mhm.
And he was able to build a pretty successful one there. But his strategy was, he didn't like to drink. So many people go to a happy hour networking meeting and they end up maybe having one too many glasses of wine or something. But anyway, he would go, and his strategy was to go to the event organizer or the host. If it's a chamber of commerce meeting, go to one of the ambassadors and say, I am looking to meet, you know, X number of people. I'd like to meet, 5 people or 10 people that do this or that do that. Can you direct me to them? And then he would seek out those people, introduce himself, exchange contact information, and then not have a lengthy conversation. Just find out enough to know whether it's someone you would like to spend time with following up
Mhm.
that could benefit either party.
You bring up an excellent point, and I'm glad you kind of presented it question situation. I am a chamber ambassador to the Holistic Chamber and also the Greater Bluffton Chamber here, and that is one of the things that I've done to the ambassadorship is that I make sure that I'm at every chamber event and I'm wearing my name tag so that I can be that connector. If we have new people coming in, I'm introducing them to people that maybe could be a collaboration or they've specified it. And the other great thing that you bring up, because I love to be a connector. I mean, I'm a big about
I do too.
introducing somebody and saying, "Hi, this is Karen Cole. She's a health coach. She's doing a whole bunch of stuff with this, and I wanted you to meet, Barry. Barry actually works in the health field himself, and he's doing some great things with mushrooms and plant-based options and brain work. The two of you need to meet." The other thing that you bring up, which is an excellent point, is the art of getting the conversations without creating that lengthy conversation.
Mhm.
I've always found that when you connect with somebody, it's really easy because you're at a networking event to not be afraid to say, look, I would love to continue this conversation because I know you need to meet a few more people as well. So
Mhm.
why don't we get out our calendars or exchange information and let's get something on the calendar? I'm a
Mhm.
big believer in setting the time right there because the follow-up is difficult for some people.
Mhm.
So set the one-on-one. And not only now you've set an appointment to sit down and really have a conversation, and you've given yourself that extraction to be able to move on.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's a good point. When you're in sales and marketing, what's one of the goals of a meeting?
Right.
To schedule your next meeting.
Right.
And so when you can, I mean, to say, yes, let's connect, I'll call you and we'll find a mutual time. Everybody's got their calendar on their
Exactly.
phones right now. You can you can stand there and say, well, this is when I'm available, what works for you? And you can set the date and then figure out the details later. But yeah, that's a good idea to set the meeting right there.
And not to be afraid of that, because again, I do always, it's not that I like to bring up the fact that we have fears, but to be honest, the way I always am, and a little bit direct and blunt. Facing your fears is part of every business owner's business. Yeah, growth. Thank you.
Yeah.
Of their growth.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I've seen a lot of businesses who have struggled simply because people had those fears and didn't want to push through it to be uncomfortable. And what I always like to tell people is never worry about going to an event like a networking event, because everybody else is in the same position as you. They have a business, they're looking to meet, and they're looking to create their own network, referral, collaboration, strategic partners. So I can't encourage people enough. Push through the fear. If you think that you are being pushy, I'll guarantee you, you're not pushing enough. You can continue to push. And I tell people all the time, don't be afraid to have somebody say no, because you're looking for the no's. If you go into an event and say, nobody's going to want to talk to me, you've already set that in your mind.
Wow.
But if you
Yeah,
go
yeah.
into it and say, I'm going to make people say no to me, you'd be surprised at what the outcome would be. In fact, I'd say a call to action for anybody who watches this. The next time you go to a networking event, just look at those steps, the before, the during, and the after, and push yourself out of your comfort zone and be pushy. Get the connection, set the appointment. And I tell people, if you walk out of there with two, either appointments or follow-ups, I really tell people, set the appointment there. Set that one-to-one.
Yeah.
So that's a call to action for anybody watching this. Push yourself through that fear, knowing that you are looking to get the no. I will tell you, being a pushy broad from New Jersey, I'm going to push until somebody says, get out of my face.
Which they don't. So
There you go.
yeah.
And and since COVID, with so much networking being online now, the same principles should apply, but often they don't. Many of the networking Zooms, and I don't know what your time for cutoff here is, Karen, but
Well, we started a little bit late. I think we're on time for
okay,
what we wanted to do. Yeah.
you get 30 seconds or a minute as they go around the room to, give your elevator pitch. Well, I don't like that at all. And I've gotten away from those types of meetings. And I've really gotten into the Alignable Smart Connect networking meetings, if you're familiar with those.
Very much so.
Most of them, you have an hour and you'll go into a 7-minute breakout room with one person. And the instructions they give you, the approach they'd like you to have is share half the time telling about what you do and finding out about what the other people do and who their ideal clients or customers are, and get enough information to decide whether you'd like to connect. And then that particular platform, when the meeting's over, a page pops up and it gives you the profile, the link to the profile of all the people you were in that breakout room with. Plus you can see who else was on the meeting that you didn't get a chance to meet. But I've met some really cool people that way. There's some people that all they do is they'll take the whole 7 minutes pitching themselves, and I'll just be patient. And that's not someone that I'm probably going to be interested in connecting with.
Right.
Again, it ties back to that. Yeah, you want to like my elevator pitch is very simple. I help educate and strategize in financial matters. And
Mhm.
I'm here to see how I can help everybody else's business to grow.
Mhm.
So when you do that as a pitch, you notice how I've told you what I do, but I'm giving myself
Mhm.
to help
Right,
everybody else grow.
right.
So that's the way I would look at the elevator pitch to make you not hate it, because I think
Mhm.
there is some real strength in some of the networking groups that are organized like that. BNI, what was the one you said? Le Pen,
Le tip.
Le Tip.
Yeah,
And
tip.
then I know that there's one online, it's a group, it's called We Meet Wednesdays, and they
Hmm.
do full days of networking. You can
Yeah.
log in anytime between
Interesting.
10 a.m.
Oh, wow.
and 6 p.m.
Huh.
So yeah, that's another one. That's an online
Yeah.
system. So because I know there's also a lot of people out there that maybe they don't have chambers, maybe they don't have areas where they have a lot of networking. So the world has changed a little bit, and now we have a lot of those areas online. So for anyone out there that may be in a small town and you say, well, we don't have any networking events, get yourself online.
Mhm.
Because again, and a lot of those groups, they're very clear about it. We're here to network. We are
Mhm.
here to build that ecosystem. And when you start thinking about it that way, you start to drift away from who am I selling to and talking about building up your tribe.
Right.
So,
Ex- ex- Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly. And part of what I will talk about next month on how to get referrals
Great segue.
yes.
has come out of networking meetings in person in San Diego with small groups before COVID. And the group was called In the Tribe.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
That was the name of the networking group. And now it's online and connected with Alignable. And
Mhm.
Tom's just doing a wonderful job. But yeah. Uh,
I'm I'm excited to hear your story on referrals, because that I was glad that I was able to do this first, because when you build that strong ecosystem, you are creating your own BNI group. You are creating your
yeah,
own referral system.
yeah.
So,
Exactly. And
yeah.
it's based on the givers get.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Givers get that BNI. And I'll just, I'm pretty outspoken sometimes, but I do not like the exclusive referral group format.
Right.
Mhm.
Um, it's forced referrals. And
Mhm.
Because
I
you
there's people that I know that I work with in certain areas, and if you join one of those groups, and say you have friends that are realtors, you like
Mhm.
to refer those. Well, when you're in that group, you're pretty much obligating yourself to refer the people in that group. I think just more open networking groups, Chamber of Commerce, and some of
Yeah.
these other online networking organizations
Yep.
um,
I think
are
chambers,
better ways.
it's why I love our chamber so much, because it's bringing together the community that may not necessarily be a strong community within a chamber.
Mhm.
And
Hmm.
I find that holistic people at large are a little bit more softer. They're more
Mhm.
internal,
Mhm.
and looking to make sure that they can find people that they connect with. And that's what I love about the holistic chamber.
Mhm.
Right.
It's really creating a community within a community.
Right. And all that you've said really it can go, it should go way beyond a networking meeting. I
Yes.
mean,
Mhm.
how many people do you know just in your community through church or your kids at school? You can
Mhm.
apply these same networking principles with them to
Everywhere.
build relationships and help each other.
That's why I say it's a skill set that it transcends everything. I transcends business for sure, because that is what we're looking at. You know, we operate businesses, but it isn't who we are. And when you find who you are and you can bring that into your business,
Mhm.
that's when you've truly aligned yourself. And then it's just up to you to find the other businesses or personalities that are going to align and be able to just make a very, very strong tether in which to hold economic means together, infrastructure together, and all of that. So,
Exactly. Exactly. So, well, this has been great.
Well, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
And thank you, Becky. And we are looking forward to what you have to share with us also very next month. So
Good.
thank you.
And
And I
Becky
forget
will-
the date, but it's the third Wednesday. I'm not sure.
It's
I have
third
to look
Wednesday.
at the
So-
date.
and we're going to do it monthly now, the third Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Yes.
Eastern. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. And I encourage anybody out there that's listening, you know, either with our chapter here or maybe with one of the other holistic chapters, you know, join us. We've
Mhm.
got a lot, and, you know, get your member spotlight, and maybe you've
Mhm.
got something to talk about that can bring to the group. You know.
Absolutely.
So,
That's it. All right. Well, thank you, and have a good evening, everyone. And we will see you next month, or we will see you next month. We have two meetings, one in person as well as one virtual.
so, all right. Good night. Thank
Good
you.
night.